In 1863, Peter toils as a slave on a cotton plantation with his wife Dodienne and their children. Upon learning he's been sold to a new owner, Peter spends a final moment with his family in prayer until white men arrive to forcibly take him away, disregarding the pleas from the children. Despite Peter's resistance, the men aim their guns at Dodienne, prompting him to relent and board the cart voluntarily. Unfortunately, seeking revenge, the men still assault him before dragging him and other slaves in a cage, treating them like cattle. Through the bars, Peter promises his tearful children that he will return for them. After a lengthy journey, they arrive at a new site for constructing a railroad where conditions are markedly worse than the plantations. Disobedient slaves' heads adorn the entrance as a warning. They sleep in cages, and even diligent work doesn't shield them from physical abuse and insults by the white masters, who justify their actions with Bible quotes. Feral dogs are set upon any slave attempting to escape, and punishments range from whippings to branding on the face by the boss, Fassel. Fassel's right hands, Harrington and Knowles, enforce his authority, with Knowles, once a slave, chosen for his hunting skills. Despite Peter's efforts to behave, helping a fallen friend earns him rebuke. One evening, they witness John being thrown into the cage, writhing in pain due to his branded cheek. Peter comforts a trembling slave named Thomas, urging him to think of loved ones and consider the work as just that. Peter, remaining calm, promises to pray for John despite his disbelief in a caring God. Later, Peter overhears white guards discussing significant news. Lincoln has freed the slaves, and escapees are heading to Baton Rouge for help. Fassel intervenes when Thomas is about to be punished, taking a particular interest in Peter. Later, Fassel claims to be Peter's God, but Peter defiantly suggests he be fed the same meat as the dogs. Fassel laughs initially, but subsequently puts Peter in chains, making him kneel with a dog barking nearby. During lunch, Peter informs fellow slaves about Lincoln and Baton Rouge, gaining support for an escape plan. A slave dies during work, and Peter seizes the opportunity during a distraction to kill guards with a shovel, steal a knife, and flee. Teaming up with 3 friends, Peter guides them through the forest, constantly alert for approaching dangers. In the fullness of time, the intrepid group successfully navigates their way to the elusive swamps, where the majority face little difficulty in crossing the marshy terrain. However, the serene atmosphere is abruptly shattered when Thomas, confronted by the menacing presence of crocodiles, succumbs to a paralyzing fear, providing an opportunity for the relentless dogs to close in on him. Fassel, the sinister orchestrator of their ordeal, commands the beasts to cease their assault only after they have inflicted sufficient harm. Seeking information about the group's destination, Fassel confronts Thomas, whose steadfast refusal to divulge this critical detail propels Fassel to dangle a precarious proposition: divulge the other's whereabouts, and Thomas shall be granted his liberty. A terrified Thomas, succumbing to fear and coercion, eventually confesses, only to meet a tragic demise at Fassel's merciless hand, becoming a macabre offering to the crocodilian predators. Meanwhile, on the fringes of this nightmarish tableau, the triumvirate of escapees, Peter, John, and Gordon, successfully surmount the swamp's challenges. Despite Peter's pragmatic suggestion of alternative routes, John, armed with a pilfered firearm, unilaterally opts for the perilous horse trail. The ever-loyal Gordon, torn between allegiance and prudence, initially contemplates following Peter, but ultimately succumbs to the logic of evasion by choosing an independent path through the woods. The fateful journey takes an unexpected turn when Peter, spurred by the exigency of the moment, discovers a seeping wound on his leg, a consequence of an earlier encounter with a bullet. Urgency compels him to staunch the bleeding before distancing himself further from the pursuing Fassel and his malevolent entourage. Shortly thereafter, Peter's solitary odyssey leads him to an inconspicuous abode, an edifice inhabited by a white family with its contingent of subjugated slaves. Peter deftly tends to his wound, fashioning a makeshift tourniquet with a vine plucked from the surroundings. Under the discreet cover of logs, he procures sustenance and pilfers a shirt to mitigate his exposure. However, his audacious endeavor does not go unnoticed, and the commotion reaches the ears of Fassel, who, with unwavering determination, follows the trail with his relentless hounds. Fassel's pursuit is relentless, his resolve unwavering as he advances towards the house, apprised by the family of Peter's escape trajectory. In a strategic ploy to confound his pursuers, Peter cunningly hides the bloodied shirt, allowing the scent to beckon Fassel's canine cohorts. Employing this ruse, Peter successfully eludes the immediate threat, submerging himself underwater while the search party unwittingly follows the deceptive trail. As the pursuing group recedes into the distance, Peter emerges, only to find himself confronted by the formidable jaws of a lurking crocodile. In a display of resourcefulness, he wards off the reptilian assailant with a sturdy branch before dispatching it with his knife, a testament to his unwavering determination and survival instincts. Simultaneously, in the realm of dreams and anticipation, Dodienne, Peter's stalwart companion, is haunted by nightmares foretelling danger befalling her beloved husband. Assuring their anxious children of Peter's survival, Dodienne draws upon her unwavering faith in his resilience, asserting that he will return having weathered challenges no ordinary man could endure. With the night's descent, Peter, seeking refuge atop a tree, methodically removes the swamp leeches clinging to his body, inadvertently allowing droplets of blood to stain the foliage below, a subtle yet potentially perilous marker of his presence. Meanwhile, as the night unfolds, Fassel and his men chance upon the deserted crocodile, setting up camp for the evening. An eerie camaraderie permeates the atmosphere as they feast upon the reptilian carcass, prompting an unexpected compliment from Harrington directed towards Peter's skill. Fassel, however, reacts with immediate disdain, invoking a chilling lesson from his father, an admonition about the perils of granting even the slightest concession to individuals of African descent, lest they seize upon it to demand more, echoing fears of job displacement and land acquisition. With the dawn of a new day, Peter resumes his arduous journey, meticulously employing a layer of mud and animal excrement to conceal his scent, a strategic ploy to evade the keen olfactory prowess of Fassel's relentless hounds. Forced to traverse yet another swamp, Peter invokes a prayer, beseeching his deity to shield him from the lurking perils. In a serendipitous moment, the sun's radiant beams illuminate his path, interpreted by Peter as a providential sign. As Fassel divides his group to cover more ground, Peter seizes an opportune moment to discover an abandoned treehouse, a serendipitous sanctuary offering clean water and remnants of sustenance, demonstrating ingenuity born of necessity. Peter cauterizes his leg wound with heated coals, concealing his presence further by orchestrating a diversion with smoke to pilfer honey from a nearby beehive. Fassel, drawn by the telltale smoke, begins a relentless pursuit, unaware of the clever subterfuge employed by his elusive quarry. In the realm of familial tribulations, Dodienne, tethered to the shackles of slavery, receives the cruel news of her impending sale, accompanied by the heart-wrenching revelation that her children will be denied the solace of accompanying her. To forestall the impending separation, Dodienne contemplates a drastic course of action, immersing her hand in a cotton production machine, feigning a grievous accident as a desperate bid to escape the clutches of a new master and the forced companionship of a designated husband. Simultaneously, the pursuit of Peter intensifies as Fassel, guided by the keen olfactory acumen of his faithful canine companion, traces the trail across the river. Concurrently, Peter's escape takes an unexpected turn, as he finds himself face to face with John, whose volatile emotions are further ignited by the realization that he, too, is now a target of the relentless pursuers. In a bid to reassure John and impart crucial knowledge about evading capture, Peter offers guidance on masking one's scent, yet John, fueled by defiance, chooses to disregard this counsel. The ensuing moments unfold with the disconcerting symphony of barking dogs, prompting the duo to seek refuge, a desperate endeavor to evade the encroaching menace. Peter, ensconced within an empty trunk, and John, perched atop a tree, await the impending threat only to have their sanctuary breached as the relentless dogs unearth John's hiding place. Fassel and his men, seizing the opportunity, force John to descend through a gunshot, intent on extracting information regarding Peter through coercive means. In a chilling twist of fate, John's fate is sealed as Fassel, determined to send a macabre message, severs his head, an agonizing spectacle that Peter, in an act of solemn reverence, avoids witnessing as he offers a prayer for his fallen comrade's soul. Having waited patiently for several hours to put a substantial distance between himself and the relentless pursuer, Fassel, Peter emerges from the trunk under the falling rain. His respite is short-lived as he discovers the gruesome details of John's demise, sending shivers of grief down his spine. Despite the weight of sorrow hanging heavy on his mind, Peter compels himself to press on. A sudden spectacle of horses, including one ablaze, captures his attention, leading him to a plantation house engulfed in flames. The tableau suggests that the enslaved individuals on this plantation, having heard the liberating news from Lincoln, took matters into their own hands. Unsheathing his knife cautiously, Peter ventures into the burning house. Struck by an explosion, briefly loses consciousness before rallying to continue aiding his comrades. Tragically, Caillou falls in battle, and Peter encounters a wounded Gordon. Witnessing his friend's pain and fear motivates Peter to emerge from hiding and sprint towards enemy lines. His objective is to silence the cannons, and with soldiers inspired by his courage, the native guard prevails, securing victory. In the aftermath of the war, the army moves to liberate slaves from every plantation. Upon reaching the house where Peter once toiled, the inhabitants, initially skeptical, are overcome with joy as the reality of freedom dawns upon them. Peter, witnessing his former master meet justice, begins a search for his family. A moment of despair nearly overwhelms him, but a whispered prayer guides him to his wife and children, who rush into his embrace. The photograph capturing the real Peter becomes an iconic symbol, circulating worldwide. In 1863, Lincoln's proclamation facilitated the escape of over 400,000 black people to freedom. By 1865, nearly 4 million slaves in America were officially recognized as free, marking a transformative chapter in history.